welcome back to part 8 of the Neon Genesis Book Club. In this episode, we get introduced to a couple new characters and learn some interesting things. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So we start this episode out basically with Shinji's father saying that something's arrived. And so we get the crew all pulling up to go see what it is. And I think it's kind of interesting. I don't know why these duos kind of follow along or how they're even allowed. You would think this is NERV or something super secret, but for some reason they're allowed to, join in, which is hilarious to me. But it's fine with me. It's really interesting because my guy's just filming the entire time. So we get the crew starting to land, and as they're landing, we get a picture, two kind of shots of this new girl that we don't know who she is yet, but obviously she's a big deal if we're getting shots like this. So as our crew's landing, we kind of get a couple different shots of, where they're at, and it's just like a huge, I wouldn't say blockade, but it's like a, military, whatever, naval fleet. And here we are. We get our first shot of Asuka Langley. I apologize if I butchered her last name. But yeah, it's finally her in the flesh. And Toji immediately kind of has beef with her because she's stepping on his hat. And he kind of does the craziest thing. I know if you saw this, you're just like, what? But yeah, no, it's really funny because he's just like, I'll get you, I'll get my get back. However, following their confrontation, we kind of see that Asuka's like, oh, so this is the third child, that's kind of how they identify the Eva pilots, Rei being the first, Asuka being the second, and Shinji being the third. So it's just kind of funny how they address him as that. However, following that, we get introduced to this new character, Mr. Kaji, and it's kind of funny. You can tell immediately that Misato does not like the look of this as she kind of storms out. And then we kind of get this look of all of them sitting at the table together, and not much is said, but you can tell that Misato gets really worked up around him, and so it kind of creates for like an interesting dynamic around each of them. And if you watch the episode, you know that Kaji basically says, oh, you're special, and he embarrasses Misato. And then we get an outside look, and apparently I guess Kaji is like, I don't think he's Asuka's teacher really, but he kind of goes with her, and apparently because she knows him really well, clearly. However, moving forward, we finally get our first shot of Eva Unit 2. And man, it's, I love the design of this thing. It looks awesome. And it's like, it's really unique to Rei. Like if you've seen the anime before, it's like this distinct color of red. Like these color schemes just match so well together. And it just makes it so iconic. And so in perfect Neon Genesis fashion, they basically get attacked by an angel out in the, right in the middle of the sea. And the way they handle this is very interesting because we know how Evas work. They need a plug. They won't last very long without the plug. And so basically we get to see them, they suit up, and we get Shinji in a red suit just like Asuka. And I'm not going to lie, I don't remember. So I'm rewatching this, the older version, and a lot of things are different. And I don't remember Shinji wearing the red, but maybe that's just me missing out. It's been a while, but I'm kind of watching along with y'all. But yeah, so there's the power plug notice, and we basically get Asuka telling Misato, she's like, come on, like get the plug going so we can get to work. And that's exactly what they do. And kind of going off just to put my thoughts in. So we know that to have an Eva, like you have to sync with it. And so having another person in, and they address this, it kind of throws off their synchronization. However, especially being Asuka's character, I don't know why she brought Shinji in the first place. But also, I don't know how the Eva worked with both of them in it. That's just kind of my thoughts. If anybody else who's seen the anime has any thoughts on that, just kind of throw it down in the comments. But yeah, it didn't fit Asuka's character to bring him in, and I don't know why she needed him in there. Because she's a very like, watch me do this. However, they end up being fairly compatible. It works. They basically rope the Eva in like a fish, or not the Eva, the angel in like a fish, and just blow it up from the inside. And, they basically save the day. But yeah, I just don't understand the compatibility standpoint and how the Eva functioned. And they've never done this before. I don't want to spoil upcoming episodes, but if you've seen the anime, that they have to work really hard to sync, and just for this first time for it to work was pretty crazy to me. And after this battle, they kind of go and they do their thing. But here's the big point. So we basically get Kaji talking to Shinji's dad, Geto, and he brings him a case and tells him this is, the first human. This is Adam. And this is where it gets exciting because this is where Neon Genesis really takes off. This is where it's going to blow your mind. So I'm excited for y'all to continue with me into future episodes. It's only going to get weirder from here. So if you like, please like, subscribe, and I'm excited for the next episode. I appreciate it and have a great day.